Welcome to Digitized Spotlight, your lens into the best builders in consumer crypto. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Winnie. On this series, we explore some of the latest trends emerging in consumer crypto and chat with those building at the forefront. In this episode, we dive into kind of the breakout moment in last year, which is prediction markets and collectible cards.
We chat with Wayne, aka Retrimentum, co-founder of Upshot, the world's first high-stakes prediction card platform. Hi, Wayne. It's awesome to have you on Digitized Spotlight. So you just launched Upshot in closed beta. So excited to unpack the first few months and what's to come. So let's dig in.
Yeah, so we've seen Kalshi and Polymarket last year really take off alongside the other collectibles. And we saw Courtyard, and obviously I've been a big fan of kind of what the Whatnot team is building the last few years. To kind of kick this off, maybe you can share your inspiration for building and founding Upshot. Introduce us in the audience to what you're building, how it all works.
All right. So, in a nutshell, firstly, I'm actually really glad to be here. How rude of me, right? Nice to meet you, Winnie, and really great to finally see you in person as well, Amanda. So, Upshot, what it is, we're trying to reimagine prediction markets from the ground up in the form factor of trading cards. So, if you imagine Polymarket coming together with Pokemon and having a baby, you would get a product exactly like us. And one of the inspirations to doing it is we all know prediction markets are a thing. They're a category and a force in itself right now. Admittedly, when I first started this product, it wasn't as popular as where it is today, but it actually started from a pain point where a lot of my friends and family wanted to use prediction markets and they simply couldn't. I've tried onboarding a whole ton of them, and
Why couldn't they?
they firstly, there's a factor of intimidation where the
Mm-hmm.
UI UX, unless someone has traded stock before, or traded perps before, it's simply too difficult for them to get started. They're really afraid of getting started. It feels scary where they feel like
Yeah.
they could lose all of their money. And the other thing is the perception of going up against professional traders, which happens in these markets. You hear about Polymarket and you hear the name Nate Silver, you hear about the quants, you hear about the market makers, and it immediately freaks people out. And they want a venue that's fair. They want a platform that feels more intuitive and accessible.
And I feel like what's interesting is like it's interesting you compare it to Pokemon Go and not like the collectible, like um the Pokemon market because like in Asia, I went when I was there a few weeks ago, I saw so many of these like Pokemon centers and cafes where people are like playing and battling Pokemon cards. I feel like that culture is like very much coming back in the last couple of years compared to like in the 2010s. So it's interesting that you bring that up because culturally, I do feel like it's having a moment.
It is. And the remarkable thing is Pokemon is a franchise or a game that has withstood the test of time, right? Like I played it back in the day. My nephews and nieces now play it as well. Although it's a whole different generation of Pokemon that they're collecting, I can't even recognize some of them. But trading cards is something we know millennials and Gen Z want. It's something that they relate to. And now it's their chance to be early at a new concept, a completely new asset class in that product category.
Yeah, so would love to chat through the mechanics. So I know your slogan is like so open mystery packs, reveal prediction cards, win cash prizes. Would love to hear more about how this is all working in practice.
Okay. So our concept is really simple, and our mechanic is really simple for now. And what it is basically like any card game. There's the concept of mystery packs or booster packs. And in Pokemon, you've got fire, ice, water, and plants, right? And you've got more than that now. But on Upshot, you've got finance, you've got politics, you've got sports. You even have special edition packs catered to different communities across the internet. And when you open a pack, you get cards thrown at you. And every card itself is a prediction. And our cards are user friendly in a sense where a lot of them are memes, a lot of them are cartoonish. And attached to every single card is a prize that if the prediction comes true, A user can go claim that prize and win themselves some cash. On top of the cards being a collectible, on top of the cards being a statement piece that you believed in something way before anyone else in the world has.
That's super interesting. So almost like randomize, you don't get to choose your own predictions, unlike a Polymarket, and it randomizes it into kind of chance. But then if you were to believe in a certain prediction that you have or not believe, we can kind of trade it, I presume, like normal, like Pokemon cards and collectibles. Very, very interesting. What has been the First of all, two questions that come to mind. How do these markets, like, how do people settle it? Is it like a mobile app or an interface? And number two, like, what has been the secondary resale market for it? Because I imagine that is actually more very interesting because it introduces another element of like what your beliefs are. Like there's some, I was on the website earlier, there are some markets that are like so crazy and some that are like, maybe shorter term that are more likely. How have you noticed people behaving?
Wow, that's a lot of questions right there, but let me try and get them. Let me try and get to them one at a time. And if I forget any of them, just buzz me after this. Okay, so the first thing is mystery packs, right? Um, One of the easiest ways that we can introduce predictions to people who have never made them before is if we give it to them instead of them going onto a prediction market and seeing a whole lot of different predictions and marketplaces that they can participate in. We give people the predictions, and from there, they make their decisions. So that random aspect is what people like as well, because when it comes to cards, there's always that opportunity you can win a card that is really rare, that may come with a bigger prize. And there's opportunity for us to introduce new mechanics as well to the game. So we have a bunch that we will be introducing. We have a bunch that we're experimenting with. But the cool part is on Upshot, you can do both. You can go onto the primary marketplace, get cards from a pack, and the cards are instantly tradable. We have a market maker or a AMM that you can instantly put your card in to get some form of liquidity. And for people who just want to get a single card and a single prediction, you can pick from that marketplace as well. What was the other questions again, Winnie?
What has been like the secondary marketplace kind of been like? I'm curious, and how have like the early consumers, are people actually trading it a lot?
Okay, right now, because we're in testnet, I would say majority of our sales are coming from the pack opening experience. I think that this behavior will change as Upshot introduces more prizes that are tangible and real, and we'll probably see that secondary marketplace behavior really change and compound as well. We have introduced a mechanic that's quite interesting, whereby cards are actually deflationary on the secondary marketplace. So even though there's an AMM, the AMM only holds a limited supply of cards. Um, After a certain point, cards actually start getting burned or destroyed forever, which card players love because they love scarcity. They love being the only person holding on to that rare card. But the best part about the mechanic is prizes on cards only go up over time, which means that number or that potential payout that you get goes up over time only. And that's where we get our company name, Upshot, for the dictionary meaning.
Yeah, I'd love to understand that better. Like, how are you designing these cards? So I know you mentioned, yeah, there's levels of scarcity, the prizes. I guess, yeah, how do they go up over time? Like, help us better understand these cards.
Okay. So from the top down, right, we are not a true prediction market. And we are also not a wrapper on top of Polymarket or Kalshi like a lot of the other platforms out there. What we are is actually a very different system altogether. And the easiest analogy that I can give is think of it as horse racing. So with horse racing, you have the players, which is us. You have the horses on the racetrack, which are the outcomes. And you have a pot of gold or a pot of prize. So when a purchase is made on Upshot, we take that funds, we put it into a pot, and everyone gets cards, which are the predictions, and the cards go in a race. And the winning cards basically unlock their share of that prize at the end of the day. In the sports gaming world, we call it pari-mutuel system, and that's the mechanic or the mechanism that powers Upshot.
Would love to also hear about these game modes. So you like quests, contests, instant wins. So I know there's like various variations on like how you get the cards and win the prize. So yeah, how do those work?
Okay, so for players that want to be passive and just collect cards, they can still win prizes because all you got to do is open packs and sit on your cards. And when the prediction comes through, you claim them on the platform. We distribute our prizes electronically via stablecoins. Um, for users that want to be more competitive, we have this thing called a contest. For Americans, it's very relatable because it's a very similar style to what fantasy sports is doing. So I lock in a bunch of cards that I really like that I think are going to come true. And I compete with other players and I get ranked and I get scored based on how my predictions play out over time. And I win a big prize at the end of the day if I'm better than others at predicting.
How does that work in the sense that there's some, you know, things that are time bound? Does it settle the day of? Is it just like the day what the prediction market says the day of prediction is, and you aggregate that score? Like I'm curious how that works because some things take a while.
Yeah, yeah. So it's actually a lot simpler than what people might imagine. Every card has a buy date or resolution date. That's when the expected resolution is for the card. Um, Now, every contest operates in a similar manner. There is a join by this date and a end date for the contest. And as long as your cards
Got it.
fit within that time frames, you get in and you can win. Now, there's another tricky bit that we had to solve. One of which is if I was a card player and I'm a sports fan, right? My incentive is to wait for as close as possible for the
Yeah.
game to end. Yeah, how do we solve that? We give people bonuses for locking in their cards early. So
Mm,
you score higher if you lock it in early as a sign of conviction.
yeah. How much are these mystery packs today and what has been kind of the earn out you're seeing? I guess it's just been in private beta, but like I'm curious what that behavior is like. And then just like any other interesting user behaviors from the people on the top of your leaderboard?
Yeah. Okay. So a pack should be very approachable for most people. Um, so we've priced our packs at $5. And the payout for prizes are 5 times what you pay for a pack on average. That's the average payout that users should get from a single win. Um, Most of our predictions come with 5 outcomes, and that's how we balance things out. So I really hope that users, all they need to do is get one win and a good win to cover the cost for the pack. For contests, it's a little bit different. We're experimenting with different game modes. But on average, the contest winners are taking anywhere between $6,000 to $10,000 when the contest ends right now.
I'm curious how you guys are like choosing because it's interesting. Unlike, normal collectible packs, either a surefire like this is going to be a valuable card, but you don't actually know if this prediction actually is going to come true. I'm curious what the model you guys are using to kind of determine that and how you guys have kind of, I'm sure there's a process, but we'd love to learn more.
There is a process. For sports, predictions is
Yeah.
actually really simple because the data is already out there. All we
Yeah.
need to do is take it. For things that are a bit more abstract, we lean very heavily into AI reasoning. And the beauty is Upshot is gamified. So we don't need to be as price sensitive as a
Yeah.
Polymarket or Kalshi. We get to gamify the experience for users in the form of rare or legendary cards, where it's all about how big the payout is relative to the risk you're taking holding on to that card.
Very interesting. And then like another question we had was kind of, early power users. I saw some people on the top of your leaderboard. What has been some of their unique behaviors you're seeing there?
Their unique behaviors is one, they're very aggressive at referring friends. We've launched a system where they get more cards and more packs as they refer more friends who spend on the platform. The other one is I've noticed that a lot of our um, winning users, I've spoken to quite a number of them. They lean very heavily into AI assistance when it comes to forming a lineup for contests. And I personally don't think that's cheating because at the end of the day, it's still up to them how they want to trade their cards and lock in a lineup. But it's probably something that we will implement into the platform as well, where you, the user, could probably talk to an Upshot bot or a mascot. Similar to how Duolingo has an owl, you should
Yeah,
be able to talk to a mascot and ask it questions and maybe double check before you lock in a lineup.
That would be fun. So taking a step back, obviously we were talking about Kalshi and Polymarket. I know like they've been raising massive rounds. So like in October, Polymarket announced a 2 bill round at a 9 bill valuation. In December, Kalshi announced a 1 bill round at 11 bill valuation, mentioned that they were hitting 70 bill annualized volume. Would love to get your take on like what is driving all this momentum and growth in the prediction market space right now?
You know, first off, congrats to Polymarket and Kalshi. I'm not sure if both of you are investors in them, but what a bunch of amazing entrepreneurs. I really look up to Shane, especially for pioneering this category. I
yeah.
saw
Back when we
Winnie
were at
unmute her
Block
mic.
Tower, we invested at Polymarket back at Block Tower, not at Strobe though.
Oh, well done, Winnie.
It wasn't me. It was before my time, but
Nonetheless, it's a nice celebration, right? All right, so I think what's driving this is for the first time ever, people not only can speculate on something that is out there in the real world, I think for the first time ever, they can make a living being directionally correct. What I mean by that is everyone knows AI is going to be a thing, but how do I get exposure to that industry? I have to pick particular stocks and I have to be right about the company. I have to be right about the direction and I have to be right about the market. But the beauty about prediction markets is they just need to be right about the direction. And sometimes that's more than enough. And I think it's also a moment in time where opinions are worth jack shit. And what really matters is skin in the game. And that's why they're doing so well. Anyone can have opinion these
yeah.
days. Yeah.
Also, like in
Um,
Grammys, if you watch the Grammys, you guys, not Grammys, it was like Golden Globes. They had predictions there, which is crazy.
we had a pack just for the Golden Globes, and that sold out in under a minute, I think,
Wow.
or something like that. We
Do you
did
guys
some
have one
insane
for the
volume.
Grammys coming up or any the Oscars?
We do have one for the Grammys and for basically almost every major award show.
I love it. I'm gonna try to buy one. One thing that you said earlier that stood out to me was millennials and Gen Z are, that behavior of collecting Pokemon cards is very like innate to them and they like, understand it. Um, how do you think, that becomes a form factor of which it's almost a new type of trading, right? Like it's very interesting to me. Are you seeing your user base kind of reflect that? Like I'm imagining like high schools and people who are middle school, like talking about what's culturally relevant and expressing that in the form factor of a card, which is obviously so much more friendly than like going into a scary chart and market and having to place bids and having to understand that. Like it's so much more understandable for like your average user that you're describing earlier. Is that demographic reflected in the early kind of users you're targeting, or are you kind of going through to the more crypto native users who understand prediction markets already?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's a very, very good question. And the first litmus test is I did put Upshot in front of my girlfriend, in front of my mom as well,
Yeah,
just as a litmus test, right? And the beauty of it is when the Golden Globes pack
yeah.
hit the market,
They were like,
they
I have
in
this.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
I
so
have
cool.
this, I've got this actor or I've got this
Yeah,
actress, and I know who's gonna win. And they were speculating
that's
and they
awesome.
were And the beauty is we want to be there. We want to be part of the dinner conversation,
Yeah.
where my mom can now have a card about the Golden Globes relatable to her favorite TV show, and she can share these cards as memes on her boomer group chats and in her
Or even
WhatsApp
like kids
groups.
at school, right? Like I'm imagining a lot of like cultural moments. I saw some that are very like culture focused, like on the platform, but that's super cool. Like I can see.
We we need to be very careful here because we
And
don't want really young kids
yeah,
using
sure.
Upshot. So we're going to be barring 18 plus in the US
Right,
and in
yeah,
some parts of the world 16 plus. But, for really long-term cards, right? Like something meme like Barron Trump or Tiffany
yeah.
Trump being president by year 2050. I imagine a world where, you know, dads could pass down that card to their
That's so
kids.
interesting. Yeah.
What about space travel? When will humans set up a colony in Mars?
Yeah.
Or who's going to be the world's first trillionaire? Things like that. I imagine that when we do have physical cards, that some of these cards will reach escape velocity and be
Yeah.
actual collectibles.
Yeah. It's so interesting you say you're barring 18. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, but like a big thesis of mine is like the world is moving to like this degen, like we are in a degen economy, and everything from Labubus to kind of the explosion of like Courtyard and whatnot, they're all gambling in some ways, and it's middle school, high schoolers doing it. So I'm glad you're like calling that out, but it's just like there's so many ways to, we're already seeing this happening in schools.
Yeah, yeah. And it's good, right? I think it's cool that, Labubus are a thing. I don't judge anyone for what they like. I don't judge anyone for what they speculate in because
Yeah.
we're in an industry where we're speculating on shitcoins all the time. But I think it's a moment in time where people have realized how fake money is or fiat is. So they're escaping into different forms of getting ahead. And they're recognizing that scarcity in things that the whole world can relate to is what ultimately matters.
So one thing you had mentioned is that you're like not using Polymarket's backend and you're not a Polymarket wrapper. I'd love to better understand what led you to make that decision.
I don't think look, I'm not the smartest of guys, and I'll laugh about it with my team all the time, and I laugh with investors about it as well. But one thing that scares me is if we go back to and if we study history, Facebook and how they rug their developer or app ecosystem, Twitter and how they rugged their APIs ultimately. Um, I have a fear that something similar might happen as well down the track when it comes to value capture. So I'm a bit wary and skeptical whenever a startup tries to rely on the giants, and we're already seeing it happen with Robinhood and their decisions.
Definitely building out your own infrastructure is more of an undertaking, but you don't have to worry as much about, like you're saying, any concerns around um, standards changing or requirements changing. So one piece of that is like the on-chain piece. I know you're building on Base. Can you talk about a bit more about what is being built specifically on the blockchain?
Okay. All right. So the first thing, right, that I want to address as well is unlike other prediction markets, the beauty of Upshot is that we have a liquidity system that solves that piece of the puzzle. So for any prediction market to work well, the first thing they need to figure out is liquidity because someone always needs to buy no when most people are buying yes. And most markets out there have to go hunt for market makers on day one. But because we have a blind pack, um, it solves for liquidity in a way that there's always someone buying the counterparty argument. And we can scale the supply of cards relative to demand at all times as well. The other part is our AMM in itself, which does help smooth things out. we did choose base for a variety of reasons. But ultimately, what we think is transparency of price pools from the contract layer. It creates a ease of auditability as well. And the beauty is stablecoins makes this a global company from day one. And we can create a system where price pools can ultimately plug into many DeFi protocols and mechanisms, and ultimately funnel back that value to our users and cardholders. And the beauty is, if we want to design a system that will withstand the test of time, cards can exist regardless of whether the parent company Upshot exists or not. As long as the blockchain exists, people will ultimately have ownership over their cards. So we really see the blockchain as a storage and kind of like core contract layer for the protocol. Now, that being said, we are doing this in progressive stages where we're eventually going to migrate a lot of our logic on chain as chains become smarter and compute becomes cheaper on chain. But right now, um, storage of cards are on chain and prize pools are held on chain.
Very cool. You mentioned earlier there's some cool packs coming up. I know it's still very early for Upshot and the platform just launched, which is test money. What should kind of listeners look out to? How can they participate?
All right. We had the Golden Globes one launch a while back.
Yeah.
Today we are dropping two football packs related to European soccer for the Americans that are in the house. We call it football where I'm from. Um, we have a lineup of packs with your favorite Web3 communities
Yeah.
ready to be launched as well. And
Cool.
we have a pipeline of major brands. So some of these household brands that you might potentially get cards from as well.
Okay.
So stay sharp, stay frosty, because some of them do sell out pretty fast.
Cool. And I guess to close this out, let's do a few rapid fire questions. What's like a prediction market category that you love?
For me personally, I like science fiction.
Ooh,
So I want to have cards where when will humans go to Mars and set up a colony? I want to know, hypersonic travel. I want to know all of that. So I want cards specifically for that, although they probably won't resolve in my time. So I'll probably need to pass it down to my nephew.
yeah. What's the most interesting signal people ignore?
Oh, what kind of signal?
Like when you think about markets and like kind of like, I guess the difference for every category, but how you interpret it.
Okay. I think the biggest signal is normally that gut feel.
Hmm.
Most people ignore that and then they end up mid curving a lot of
Yeah.
trades.
Yeah.
Yeah. The best trades in my life was something that I could instantly ape in with size before doing any research. And I'm not the smartest guy in the world, right? So if I'm doing that, therefore everyone else is doing that. And it's also something that I can probably get more comfortable over time owning, such as
Yeah.
Bitcoin.
What's a market outcome recently that surprised you?
Um, Logan Paul getting smashed in round six.
Wow.
I thought he was gonna get smashed in like round one or two,
Yeah,
but
his
the guy
recovery.
has some thick skin and
Yeah,
bones.
his recovery, like how he's still like getting surgery for everything, right?
Yes, yeah. I believe so. Can I give that rapid fire back at you, Winnie, and then maybe Amanda? All of the three
Oh
questions.
wow.
I think underrated prediction. I think just like girl culture, right? I think that's something that a lot of these large markets have ignored. But I think 3 years ago, I was like, someone needs to start like a mobile first social app for the girlies. That should be, I think that would take off in a different form factor, maybe not cards, but maybe just like something more fun that's like related to reality TV show. Um,
Oh, you know what?
Tell
Are
me.
you one of those that want no reality TV shows, I understand, but
Yeah.
are you one of those girls that are gonna ask for Formula One upshot cards?
I love well I love Formula One, but before all of this came out. But yes, why?
Oh, that's a
Coming
number
up?
one request from
Oh
women, by the way.
wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. It makes a lot of sense. It's like very uniquely sports and culture. Um, what's the other question? Oh, it's the signal. I think TikTok is a great signal. I think a lot of people ignore that, but I think for sentiment, like it's really good for like mass sentiment. And it's sometimes different from a lot of what I see on Twitter. Like it's sometimes the inverse of that. And then market outcome. I don't have one for the recent market outcome, but Amanda maybe can go.
Yeah, I think so underrated prediction market category. I've just been noticing like all of the interest around like private like I guess private VC positions in traditional startups and like people wanting to bet on them or bet on like what the IPO price is. Like I feel like there's a whole like kind of business market forming around that.
Interesting. Yeah.
In terms of signal, I mean, so I think what I look at generally is like Google search trends and like what are, yeah, like is something getting a lot of attention on the internet? And then yeah, so I have to skip the market outcome one. I haven't been super following the prediction markets recently.
The first thing that you mentioned, Amanda, do you think a lot of VCs will intentionally create markets like this as a way of hedging their portfolios?
I could see it potentially, actually, yeah, because I do think there's always the opportunity to like, let's say, short on an exchange while you have a long position from an investment. So it could potentially carry on.
Yeah, I really think
Triggered with
that
that
that will
today.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of people who trade investment firms have been doing using prediction markets to hedge. So in a more sophisticated world, I could see that happening, but like the markets seem to be deep enough to hedge it, which I don't think they some of these markets will be. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, you know what? One more prediction is that I'm so excited to find out. I want to know who's going to father more kids, Elon or Pavel from Telegram.
Oh, good. Who it's Pavel today, right? Way more than Elon.
I think Pavel, but come on, Elon owns Twitter, so he can easily set up a Grok to impersonate him and DM every single woman on the planet.
Well, his
And
other one owns
ultimately,
Telegram, so it's just as good distribution, if
it's
anything.
just as good. It's just as good, but
You're
more
gonna
drug
go
dealers
there.
use Telegram. More
Yeah.
drug dealers and crypto bros use
Yeah,
Telegram.
I would go with Pavel just because he set out the goal. So we haven't heard that from Elon. Um, cool. So great to have you on Digitized Spotlight. Wayne, where can listeners find you and learn more about Upshot?
I'm on Telegram and Twitter, way too much. You can find me there. If I'm slow to reply, I only reply to our Discord community a lot more. Um, and I use the same handle for every single platform that I'm on, Retromentum. So come look for me if you want to find out more about Upshot. I would always love to talk to anyone.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much, Winnie. Nice to meet you. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you for joining as we chat with Wayne. It's been awesome to dig into consumer behavior around collecting and betting on Upshot.
Agreed. I enjoyed hearing kind of what made him get excited about Pokemon cards and how he's taken that as a form factor to inspire Upshot's gaming mechanics and see where he's taking the prediction market and how it's going to go from here on out. Follow us as we chat with more founders building at the intersection of consumer and crypto.